It often seems we are living in unprecedented times. There's a new technology that could change everything.
It's the first technology that has no limit.
It's probably going to change almost every field.
And there's lots of excitement and fears and confusion and crazy valuations, and also some suspicions that maybe this technology is all a bit overhyped. But I'm not talking about AI, not just yet, because we have actually been here before. The way a lot of people talk about AI today is remarkably similar to how people once talked about the internet.
But it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Yeah, and trust me, the way we talk about AI today is going to sound just as cringe in a few decades. I think if you want to understand where technologies today, like AI, are taking us in future, then it's really useful to look back at earlier parallels like the internet. So in this video, I'm going to start by doing that, and then I'm going to reveal what I think and what some really interesting analysts think will be the megatrend of AI, and it's something that really doesn't get enough attention. And it won't be a huge reveal because it's actually probably the title of this video, but yeah, stay with me, and let's start by rewinding a few decades. I love that sound. If your technology made that sound today, you'd assume something has gone catastrophically wrong. But let me reassure younger viewers that back in the 90s, that's just what the internet sounded like when it was starting up perfectly fine. Although it wouldn't be too long until someone shouts at you to get off the internet so that they can make a phone call. Now, even in the first half of the 90s, some early internet enthusiasts, or netheads as they used to be called, had figured out that buying things online was going to be one of the big opportunities of the internet, even though back then you needed like matrix style programming skills in order to make a purchase.
So here we're looking at the Billboard charts for this week, and
okay, top R&B singles, etc., etc.
And we'll see number 5 is Mariah Carey.
Okay.
So one thing we can do over the net is order that CD.
So you can't actually buy stuff on the internet.
Right. It's a very sticky situation because one of the biggest problems is security and transfer of money and that kind of thing. Yeah. But many systems have actually set it up so that you can do things on the internet involving money transfer and credit cards and that sort of thing.
All right. What else?
So here it's
we're buying a CD right now.
We're going into the compact disc connection. And as soon as it wakes up, one of the drawbacks of using the internet is that since it's so autonomous, every system it can be up or down or be as slow as fast as you want.
So nobody's really controlling traffic in the middle.
And the only guarantee is that your packets will get there. It's just a matter of when they will get there.
Okay. Well, can we skip past this right now and look at something else?
This is taking a little long.
Even though everything was slow and terribly designed at first, the early internet was an age of seemingly limitless new opportunities.
Hey Dan, ready for the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Kayaking friends on your computer?
Yeah, I just got America Online.
Sounds great. Listen, I can't go to the game today.
What?
I've got to send something for my mom's birthday. It's tomorrow. I'll then book plane tickets for our trip next week, and my kids got to go to the library to look up dinosaurs.
Hey, we can take care of all that before we go.
Yeah, right.
Oh, with America Online.
America Online can do all that?
Yeah. How about sending your mom some nice flowers? All you do is click on Marketplace. We place an order.
Yeah, by the way, all those web pages would have taken a lot longer to actually open. But the internet started to gain mass appeal, and as it did so, there was still a lot of confusion and a lot of cynics. In 1995, Newsweek published this article titled "The Internet, Bah! Hyperalert, Why the Internet Isn't and Will Never Be Nirvana." So the whole article just mocks the idea that the internet could ever take off. There's no way people are going to want to buy things online, the author confidently argues. In retrospect, it's very easy to just shit all over this bad take. So let's do that. The main problem is that the author assumes the technology is in its permanent state, so it will never be easy or safe to make payments, and he assumes that processes won't also evolve around the technology. Funnily enough, he also says that salespeople are essential for commerce and the internet doesn't have salespeople. If only. But it turns out salespeople go where the market is, not the other way around. And throughout the 90s, people were increasingly going online. So here's a clip of Bill Gates trying to explain that, also in 1995 on the Letterman show.
And what about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
What the hell is that exactly?
Well, it's become a place where people are publishing information.
Right.
So everybody can have their own homepage. Companies are there, the latest information. It's wild what's going on. You can send electronic mail to people. It is the big new thing.
Yeah, but you know, it's easy to criticize something you don't fully understand, which is my position here.
Go ahead.
But I can remember a couple of months ago, there was like a big breakthrough announcement that on the internet or on some computer deal, they were going to broadcast a baseball game. You could listen to a baseball game on your computer. And I just thought to myself, does radio ring a bell? You know what I mean? It's just...
By the way, if you want to watch that full clip, it's available on Letterman's YouTube channel. Okay, Bill, this is your moment to explain the immense potential and wondrous capabilities of the internet. Sell it.
What am I missing here? What do I need?
Well, if you want to learn about the latest cigars or auto racing statistics.
Well,
fortunately, we found more good uses for the internet. And as online communities grew, businesses piled in. Towards the end of the 90s, some were achieving crazy high valuations for having little more than a website and a domain name. And nothing epitomizes this period of dot-com boom more than
Pets.com, because pets can't drive.
This domain was originally used for pet owners to chat with each other, and then it started to be used for selling pet food. They poured millions into marketing in a very short amount of time. They even had a Super Bowl ad, but they were losing money on every sale. Like so many dot-com businesses back then, they were reckless with their costs and only cared about long-term market share, which they thought they could lock in during this internet gold rush. But they didn't really create anything of value besides, you know, building a website and marketing it. They didn't innovate around the technology. They could have thought, okay, so the internet enables us to sell all across America, so we need to create a really efficient distribution model. We need to innovate in order to bring our own shipping costs down so that we can make the most of this new technology. But no, instead they continued operating as if they were a pet store company serving the Bay Area, because everything was being shipped across America from San Francisco. But for a dose of sanity during these times, I do love this advert from IBM.
It says here, the internet is the future of business. We have to be on the internet. Why? Doesn't say.
That advert is still funny, especially if you swap internet for AI. And actually, if you go to any business conference today, or if you open any business magazine, you'll see a lot of adverts that try to replicate that exact same message. So not very original. But actually, even though the sentiment's right, there's still not much substance there. The companies aren't saying how they are going to offer unique value with AI. So this is kind of where we are today in parallel with the early days of the internet, which makes this next clip really interesting. This is a BBC report from 1997, which encapsulates how some of the hopes were starting to fade about the potential of the internet for business.
But although it's clearly had a huge impact in lots of ways, there's also a growing suspicion that some of the early expectations of the way it would change our lives may have been exaggerated. This week, a report from Verdict Research cast doubt on the significance of internet shopping in the next few years. Niels Blythe, our own reporting icon, has been conducting some research into shopping on the net.
Long ago, in cyberspace, bold predictions were being made. By the end of the millennium, they said, electronic commerce would be worth billions of pounds, and we'd all be doing our shopping via computers. But that was way back when the internet was young. To find out what's really happening now, I need to boldly go on a journey. While there are still optimists about internet shopping, there have also been lots of disappointments. The internet has had a huge impact on lots of businesses, but retailing isn't really one of them. This year, internet shopping will account for well under 1% of all the shopping in Britain. And some of the most ambitious schemes for virtual shopping centres have been abandoned or scaled back.
I love those graphics. Now, apart from the fact that they are talking down e-commerce, which, spoiler alert, did turn out to be the megatrend of the internet, the most dated part of this clip is actually this bit.
A bakery in Whitby, now selling its cakes via the internet. Customers just have to fill in an order form and pay by credit card.
Yeah, just like casually showing off all your customers' data. This is definitely pre-GDPR. The thought of data privacy had not even occurred to them back then.
But while many big retailers in Britain now play down the potential of internet shopping, a few specialist operations, mainly in America, have started to make some impact. Companies like Amazon.com, run by Jeff Bezos, selling books all over the world.
How has the business developed over the last 2 years?
When we opened Amazon.com just a little over 2 years ago, in the first 30 days of being opened, we shipped books to more than 45 different countries.
The 90s was a period of incredible growth globally, for various complicated reasons, including the rise of emerging markets. But as the 90s came to an end, that dot-com bubble burst, most prominently with the collapse of pets.com. However, it's important to remember that some of the most successful companies today, some of the world's largest companies, emerged out of that dot-com bubble. So e-commerce did prove to be the megatrend of the internet. Even selling pet food online was a perfectly viable business model if you run it properly. And companies like Amazon, then Amazon.com, then of course now it's just Amazon, they survived because they focused relentlessly on what real value they can get out of this technology and how they can innovate around it. So Amazon really innovated in its distribution. By the way, in case you're wondering where's Google in all of this, let me show you Google in 1996. Yes, Google was originally called Backrub, and that was its logo. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. Backrub was like some dorky reference to the backlinks, which Google or Backrub back then was using to rank websites. But come on, you can't build like a big tech brand around some terrible name that's some technical reference. Well, okay. So today, e-commerce is the norm. It started with small groups of early adopters, particularly in niche product categories, but now it's widely used and for almost everything. And yet, even relatively recently, a lot of people just couldn't comprehend this change. I'm a big fan of Dragon's Den. This show is it's the British version of Shark Tank. And even though some of these episodes, they aren't that old, you can see people pitching business ideas that are obviously, in retrospect, just going to be totally destroyed by the internet.
Gerard Tomney is asking for £150,000 to market and promote his premium rate phone line, where people who are lost can call London's famously knowledgeable black cab drivers for directions.
I'm always watching this and sneering like a reverse Letterman. Does the internet ring a bell?
Welcome to The Knowledge. This is a premium rate call, which costs £1 a minute from a landline. Calls from mobile phones may cost more. You are now being connected to a licensed London taxi driver. Please have a safe journey. Please wait. Please wait.
How much a minute?
£1 a minute.
If I had to call a premium rate number every time I was a bit lost, I would be totally bankrupt. I can still remember being a late teenager, and if you'd need to book a flight, you'd have to walk into town and line up in a travel agency and sit down with someone and tell all your plans to someone on the opposite side of the desk, and then they would type it into their computer and tell you what you can buy.
Computer says no. You didn't even type anything in then?
E-commerce was the inevitable megatrend of the internet because shopping is one of our biggest reoccurring chores, and the internet eliminates so much time and hassle and enables us to access products that we wouldn't be able to access without it. And I think this is the trend that's going to continue into AI. So what are we missing amidst all the noise and hype around AI? What's the megatrend of AI? which companies are innovating around it in a way that's going to create real long-term value. We should already be able to see these trends emerging, and it's not necessarily going to be the same things that the big tech bosses are interested in.
The latest cigars or auto racing statistics.
Well, funny enough, just as I'm recording this, Bill Gates himself was back on a talk show this week talking about AI. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. It is interesting to listen to the perspectives of innovators like Bill Gates, but just because you are very good at developing technology or building a business around it, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't still have blind spots for how the market is going to shape technology going forward. You know, Mark Zuckerberg didn't realize that we don't all want to hang out in the metaverse in the way he envisioned.
You've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. This is stunning.
Okay, that is something.
That's awesome.
You know, Sam Altman says all movies are going to be video games in future. I don't think he's saying that based on his AI expertise. I think he's saying that because he really likes video games. But, you know, which is fine, but a lot of people are still going to like movies as well. I'm just saying we all have blind spots. If you want to understand the future of technology, don't spend too much time in Silicon Valley. Go out and listen to the people who are innovating around that technology and finding ways to actually extract value from it in their own businesses and in their own lives. Large language models like ChatGPT ignited the current wave of interest in AI. It was an incredible jump in capabilities. It has brought lots of real value. However, I don't think people want to spend their lives just chatting with their technology. The movie Her was meant to be a dystopian movie. It wasn't a future we actually wanted. So even though the current wave of interest in AI is based on large language models that tell us stuff and show us stuff, the next wave is going to be on AI agents that actually get shit done for us. AI is really just an acceleration of long-term tech trends. And one of our biggest daily hassles and costs, and one of our biggest opportunities to live better, is in the way we buy things and the way we procure things for businesses. And so I think that just as the internet was driven towards e-commerce, those same factors are going to drive AI toward machine buying. That's when our AI agents go out and buy things for us in a more timely and efficient manner and get better deals. After all, we are living in the material world. And these will be material bots. I'm risking a copyright strike just so I can include that. But if you're rolling your eyes at the idea of this continued march of consumerism, I think, you know, machine buying is about something so much more radical with such vast implications. You see, throughout the whole history of commerce and technology, the initiative has been with the sellers to introduce automation technology, and buyers have just kind of had to accept it. You can be sure that for whatever purchase you've made recently, someone is boasting about you as a stat in their sales funnel, their automated sales funnel. And automation in selling is everywhere offline too, increasingly. These screens in fast food restaurants, for example, are not designed to help you order quicker. Customers actually spend significantly more time ordering from them, but they also spend significantly more money on each order. That's the whole point. There's all kinds of clever psychological tricks designed to nudge that behavior in consumers, and they can constantly A/B test what leads to bigger orders next time. It's arguably an improved customer experience, but one that really benefits the restaurant, which is able to scale selling while reducing the cost of selling. It's time to, if not turn the tables, like at least bring some balance. Why shouldn't buyers be able to introduce automation on their side so that they can drive new efficiencies and steer better outcomes as well? That's still good for both sides. And thanks to AI and the rise of agentic autonomous technology, that is now possible.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second.
AI has already demonstrated its ability to handle every part of a buying process. So it can research and weigh up reviews, it can reach out to sellers and communicate with them, it can make payments, it can request help and support and schedule maintenance, it can even write reviews for other humans or other bots. And actually, the one capability that people most doubted AI can do is the one that it's performing the best in, and that's negotiating. AI can go out and negotiate tens of thousands of contracts simultaneously, and just like with those video screens in restaurants, it can also constantly A/B test what leads to better outcomes. And this isn't hypothetical. Some of the world's largest companies like Walmart and Maersk conduct autonomous negotiations with their suppliers using AI. The age of machine buying has already begun. And it's Fortune 500 companies that are driving this at the moment, but this is going to expand across the economy. And it's something that's going to empower all of us as consumers as well when we go out to shop. And this is what leading analysts at Gartner think too.
Over the last few years, we've been observing a growth megatrend quietly taking place, one that we think is actually going to be bigger than digital commerce.
Machines as customers, it's not just like a in the future type of thing, it's a now thing.
Cars could buy their own tires. Your coffee maker could order its own parts. Your closet could curate your jeans collection for you. In fact, we expect that roads and factories and office meeting rooms and AI buying columns and petrol robots and appliances and smart speaker intelligent systems will all become machine customers.
How mega is mega? The Gartner research team polled CEOs. They believe that by 2030, 15 to 20% of their company's revenue will come from machine customers, accounting for trillions of dollars in purchases in the coming decade. Unlike humans, machines are observant, tireless, and exhaustive researchers, relying on the power of AI to always have the best info and analysis. They don't forget to order or follow up, and they are unwaveringly logical, never swayed by emotion.
It's not just about being a consumer and having it buy things for you. It can also look at how it can help you maintain things, such as a car can go ahead and schedule a service to avoid any type of disruption for you. We also see this across industrial types of businesses such as manufacturing. If you have a manufacturer who's going to be producing a strawberry soda and they run out of strawberry, that's going to create a major problem. However, machines as customers could detect we're running low on the strawberry flavor and go ahead and order it in the future using smart sensors.
As far-fetched as this sounds, what will seem crazy is thinking about the time when people used to have to do all these things for themselves.
Gartner published a whole book on this topic, When Machines Become Customers, arguing that machine buying will be the megatrend of AI, just as e-commerce was the megatrend of the internet. AI can make timely and highly informed purchasing decisions with unprecedented efficiency based on the huge amount of data it can consume about the market. And the authors of this book argue that this will, once this is rolled out at scale for companies and for consumers, it's going to unleash a wave of economic growth comparable to the rise of emerging markets in the 1990s. And in this book, they break down the rise of machine buying into 4 stages. So first, there's the 0 stage, the announcer stage. That's when your technology just tells you things that are useful to know when you're making purchases, like your printer telling you that you're out of ink. But this serves as the primordial soup for the emergence of machine buying. Then comes the first stage of machine buying, which is the bound stage. This is when your technology no longer just advises you about purchases, but actually acts upon it as well. Although still within the confines of conditions set by the manufacturer. So the most obvious example is, again, a printer which orders its own ink. But consumers really don't want to be kept in these walled gardens where you can only order products from the company that you bought your machine from. Especially in the case of printers, like a lot of the business model of printers is to sell you a cheap printer, then sell you really expensive ink. So the market then drives the next stage of machine buying, which is the adaptable phase. This is when your AI can make choices among competing independent offers. And we see a lot of companies like Amazon racing to create products that are capable of this at the moment. And the technology that wins and the AI that wins isn't going to be just the one that's the most convenient to use, the most user-friendly. It's also going to be the one that shows it's capable of getting genuinely the best deals, and not just from the ones that are in the interests of the company that you bought that product from or that developed that AI. And then this leads to the final third stage of machine buying, which is the autonomous stage. This is when your AI is capable of mimicking the full range of human purchasing behavior, but with superhuman capabilities, when it can crunch a lot of data. And, you know, that's what we see large Fortune 500 companies going for now with autonomous negotiation. So I'm not on commission selling these books. This is not a sponsored video. However, I am invested in this topic. So let me back up a bit and explain how I got involved into the world of machine buying. So I used to work at Estonia's e-residency program. I was one of the early employees for Kaspar Korjus, who figured out a genius way that we could use the internet to unlock value globally and bring in revenue for Estonia. So e-residency, I'll need to do another whole video explaining e-residency, but the program is very successful. It brings in, you know, more than 60 million euros every year for Estonia, while bringing in lots more in indirect benefits to boost the Estonian economy, all the while helping entrepreneurs around the world. It's a really innovative way to unlock value around the internet. But then Kaspar Korjus 5 years ago decided to leave e-residency and start his own company. And I remember after he left, everyone was asking me, especially our e-residents, like, what's Kaspar going to do next? We know it's going to be something interesting. What's he going to do? And then he revealed it. In fact, in the e-residents of Estonia Facebook group, he revealed that he was going to start this company based on AI negotiation. There was a lot of support and best wishes for Kaspar, but I remember also a lot of skepticism. People didn't think it was possible for AI to negotiate, which is fair enough back then. It was long before ChatGPT was around. But Kaspar joined up with two other founders who, you know, the three of them were just so perfectly suited to tackle this challenge of getting AI to negotiate purchasing decisions. So Kaspar has a great track record for unlocking value. And then there's Martin Rand, who is an ex-Skyper. So Skype was Estonia's big early startup success story, and a lot of former Skypers have gone on to form lots of other very successful companies. This is a Skype towel, by the way. I'm filming in my sauna, and yeah, that's a Skype towel. But anyway, so Martin Rand was a Skyper. He created another startup, which he sold to Monsanto. And then when he was at Monsanto, he was negotiating like big multinational deals. And he realized, like, you know, people in large enterprises who end up negotiating stuff actually they don't get training in negotiations. And he wanted to go and learn how to be a better negotiator. And he went and studied at Harvard, became a Harvard-trained negotiator. But then he still realized after that there's still a huge problem because large enterprises just don't have the human capacity to negotiate all the potential deals around them, even if you are all expert negotiators. So most contracts for large enterprises aren't being negotiated. They're just rolling over standardized suboptimal terms. So you need to find a way to scale negotiations. And then the third co-founder is Christian Korjus, brother of Kaspar Korjus. And Christian happens to be a world-leading expert on AI, back before that kind of thing was considered cool. So he was head of AI at Starship Technologies, and he's also a best-selling mathematics author in Estonia. He really knows AI. He's published a lot of research into it. And so the three of them founded Pactum AI to offer autonomous negotiations. Still, a lot of people thought they were crazy. One investor said to Martin, whatever you do, I'm going to invest in it. So Martin told him, okay, this is what I'm doing, autonomous negotiations. And the investor said, no, I thought it was going to be something good. And even one investor who did end up investing still said, I'm going to give you the money because I like you three, but the money is so that you can pivot to a decent idea. I would like to add, though, that my thoughts at the time are on record on Facebook, that I thought this was great from the start. I trusted them. I thought they knew what they're doing. Now, fortunately, the so-called Skype mafia did believe in Pactum, and they invested, and that's what got this idea off the ground. Negotiations are the most interesting part of machine buying because negotiations create value. In a negotiation, you have to offer the other side more value in order to reach a good deal. And it's a shame we don't have more negotiations in our personal lives and in business, but that's because they just take so much time, so much human capacity in order to research and conduct well. So if we can scale negotiations with machines, we can really scale the amount of value we have in this world. Negotiations are comparable to chess in that even after a relatively small number of moves by each side, it adds up exponentially the number of possible outcomes that could have been concluded. So in a typical contract negotiation with a supplier, say there's 10 tradable terms, a limited number of options for each, that can very quickly add up to quintillions of possible outcomes. But just as machines were able to surpass the best humans in chess, so too machines have cracked how to negotiate. When AI learns to play chess or learns to negotiate, it operates in a very different way to how humans tend to do it. So in negotiations, forget this idea of like a tough negotiator that intimidates their opponent. The AI realizes that that's dumb. And actually, if you want to get the best possible deal, you've got to be very collaborative, have a very collaborative tone, and you need to figure out how to offer as much value as possible to the other side. So in mathematics, this is called Pareto efficiency, when neither side can get any more value without harming the interests of the other side. The way I tend to think of it is that if you want a bigger slice of pie, bake a bigger pie. The best human negotiators already know this. It's why trained negotiators would rather negotiate against another trained negotiator than someone who doesn't have expertise in negotiations, because they can just sit down and brainstorm how to create as much value as possible, which is not something that most of us do when we're going into negotiations. The rest of us tend to be quite, guarded in a way that's actually detrimental to our interests. So if you get an opportunity to negotiate against AI, that's actually a good thing, because the AI is going to take time to find out what you value and how it can get more of that value to you as well. And you know who else thought this was a great idea right from the very start 5 years ago? Walmart, the world's largest company by revenue. When they heard about this, it immediately made sense to them because they've got more than 100,000 suppliers. They can't negotiate with all their suppliers. So it makes sense to them that they can use AI to go out and get better deals for both sides.
So the biggest question and concern that our organization had, especially the senior leadership, what are suppliers going to think about this, right? And I was worried about this too, because we're big bad Walmart. We're no longer interested in talking to our suppliers. We're going to send out a bot and just do all of our negotiations, right? So that was the fear. The interesting thing is that 83% of the suppliers that we pulled said that they'd actually rather negotiate with the bot than a human.
All this started in the small Estonian town of Viljandi. So Viljandi, there's a company called Cleveron, which makes smart parcel lockers. So the leaders of Walmart were visiting Viljandi in order to see Cleveron. And at the same time, Pactum were there as well, and they also made a pitch about autonomous negotiations, and Walmart just went for it straight away. So that was 5 years ago, and autonomous negotiations is continuing to grow globally with some of the world's largest companies. Pactum is now about 100 people, growing fast, and I'm one of them. So kind of 4 or 5 years later, after previously working for Casper, I'm working for him again at Pactum. So even though this is a personal YouTube channel, that's how I got involved. And I think it makes sense to me that Estonians would be among the first to figure out this mega trend of AI, because in Estonia we tend not to make unnecessary conversation like the Finns, and we like technology that's intuitive and just takes away the hassle, which enables us to then get on with more important things, whether that's creating more value or just enjoying life more offline. So it's not surprising that kind of, you know, agentic AI is only now becoming like a really hot topic. Estonians figured this out 5 years ago. So I spent the first half of this year in America speaking to companies that are using this technology. I was living in New York, but you've got to get out of New York actually to see this technology. It's really right across America. Even some of these truckers that we're passing are selling their haulage services to the AI at Maersk that's doing the buying.
Because it has access to so much data, it will reach out to the right truckers at the right time. So the truckers get a good quality deal flow, and the acceptance rate is much higher.
Them receiving a phone call 5-6 times a day, okay, now we have this container, now we have this container. It created quite a bit of supplier frustration, and therefore we wanted to find a process that we could improve our supplier relations with as well.
At first, I thought it was going to be all about savings, but it's about so much more than that. The implications of just being able to instantly get good deals with thousands of suppliers simultaneously. It means that, you know, you can react so much faster. You can implement change faster, you can react to market trends faster, because large enterprises are often compared to oil tankers. They've got a lot of forward momentum, but they take a long time to turn around. Actually, it takes like a couple of hours for an oil tanker to turn around at sea, whereas a large corporation, you know, you introduce change, new strategy in the boardroom, and it can take years to implement. And that's before you consider all the daily market changes or, you know, black swan events that you need to respond to. Whereas if you can instantly just communicate with all your suppliers, then you can just, it's like being a oil tanker that suddenly has the maneuverability of a speedboat. And then I got contacted by one person at a large company who said, I heard about you from this book, When Machines Become Customers. So I thought, okay, I've got to go buy that book and see what they're saying about us. And the book blew me away because it chimes exactly with what we're seeing with our customers, and it's really great analysis. So I then bought hundreds of copies using the company credit card this time, and we've been giving them to business leaders. Just this week, we had a business leaders breakfast in New York, gave out copies of the book, and the president of Estonia stopped by because he was in New York for the UN summit. And he said some really nice things about Pactum, and he told them why they should invest in Estonia. And then we gave him a copy of the book as well, which was nice because he's really interested in innovation and AI and where the trends are going.
Thank you very much. It's a 7-hour flight back to home, so I go through this book. So thank you.
Yeah, we're a cutting edge AI company, but some of our marketing is as old fashioned as handing out books because people do still like a good book. And I would rather invest some of our marketing budget in good independent research and analysis rather than, you know, slapping our logo on a stress ball or water bottle and handing them out at a conference or whatever. But even though this book talks about what big companies are doing in procurement with the help of technologies like Pactum AI, the main focus is actually on consumers. It's consumers that are going to adopt machine buying in a big way. And it's really interesting to hear people's reactions to that. Like, some of it is as skeptical as Letterman was when he first heard about the internet. Some people say, but, you know, what if I enjoy shopping? Aren't we losing something about what it means to be human? Don't we still need the human touch in things like this? Let's get real though. Like, shopping for the most part is a chore. It's not a good use of your time, and it's not something you're even particularly good at. And I'm talking about all of us. You know, you might enjoy shopping sometimes for certain things like, you know, clothes or jewelry, but you probably don't enjoy shopping for washing up liquid or diapers or insurance or many of the other items that we constantly have to buy on a daily basis. There are better uses for your time. If you let your bot go out and buy those things, it doesn't make you any less human. You were not born to do boring menial tasks like shop for those kind of items. We've got to use bots to extend our human capabilities. And if we use AI for more timely and efficient buying, then we've got more time and more money for the things we really want to do, which might be retail therapy. That's still perfectly valid. The implications of this switch to machine buying are vast. You know, AI isn't swayed by a clever marketing slogan. It's not dazzled by pretty packaging. It's not going to be bamboozled by hard sales tactics. It is going to find the small print. It's going to ignore low value features and irrelevant information in the sales process. It's going to get the data that it really wants in order to judge what's the best product. It's not going to be bamboozled by gimmicks. It can't be wined and dined. You can't give it tickets to upcoming ball game. And this is huge. Like, you know, a lot of marketers and salespeople are going to have to really rethink the way they do their jobs. So this technology is better for buyers, sellers too, and also for the planet. There's ways in which this technology can be used in really ethical ways to drive change, because, you know, purchasing power is one of the best ways to actually make a change in this world. Can you imagine if you want to be more environmentally friendly, you can instruct your AI to gather data about how much embodied carbon is in different products and to weigh that up when making purchasing decisions. And then, you know, if you look at fashion, for example, there's so many problems in the fashion supply chain. A lot of slave labor, for example, used. And you can factor that in, that you can instruct your AI that you want to help eliminate slave labor. You only want to buy from really clean supply chains. This kind of technology can have a really positive impact on that. Who doesn't win? I think if you're selling products that are unnecessary, harmful, a rip-off, and if you're selling them based on exploiting the vulnerabilities of human psychology, so for example, if you're, you know, selling timeshare schemes or unnecessary insurance, start looking for a new job. It's not a long-lasting career you've got. As an example, I only recently discovered that children and adults can use the same sunscreen. I'd been buying separate sunscreen for the children, but actually they usually contain the exact same ingredients. The only difference is that, you know, one has a cartoon on the cover. Sometimes it's just the way things are marketed to us as humans that creates so much inefficiencies and unfairness. There's also the pink tax, for example, where women tend to pay more for the exact same product. AI can cut out a lot of this bullshit by making much smarter, data-driven buying decisions for us. And if you are in marketing or sales, then maybe start thinking about how you can get better into data management. Anyway, this has been a long video. I'm surprised you made it this far. I'm getting back into YouTube to talk more about technology, particularly from an Estonian perspective, but I'm still experimenting with different ways to make videos. And so yeah, this is my sauna that I'm filming from. Do leave your feedback, what you think of this video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, as they say, and thank you. Stay human.